The world needs more masculine men and more feminine women. This is the alt-right pipeline. Let's talk about it because gender roles are the first step in creating a patriarchy. This is very, very dangerous. Please do not fall down this pipeline. This might be a hot take, but I actually believe gender roles are completely unnecessary in a progressive society because why? Like, what do you need them for? If we were truly a progressive society without outdated ideas such as women are put on this earth to pop out babies and serve men. If you don't think like that, if that is not your mindset, then there's absolutely no need for quote unquote traditional gender roles in a society. And this would be the best and most progressive thing that would actually allow everybody to have actual freedom. Now, as women, or at least some of us, have been fighting for hundreds of years generally in order to be accepted and viewed the same as men in our society, because men have so many more benefits to just simply existing in society. And this happens at women's expense. The reason that men want to hold on to these gender roles so bad is because it gives them a leg up. It gives them an advantage, right? When we all view men as protectors, we have to acknowledge at the same time, but we don't say the quiet part out loud, that they're not protecting us from bears or wolves or gorillas or anything like that as much as they would love to think that. They're protecting us from each other. And the protection oftentimes does not look like the heroic protection that we are led to believe it's going to be. It's a very transactional type of system. Oftentimes, it's actually men that stand by while women protect other women from men. This is really just a fantasy that they're trying to sell you, ladies, to get you to give up your power. One of my mutuals, MJ, has a great video on this that I'll tag below. But right now, women are actually very fully integrated in both their feminine and their masculine energies. It is very difficult for us to function in this society, in this world otherwise. So while men do get to sort of lean into whatever masculine traits that they desire, they are allowed to be bad at the quote unquote feminine traits. They're allowed to be emotionally unintelligent. They're allowed to be terrible about communicating. They're allowed to be rude, mean, neglectful, like bad fathers, all in the name of masculinity, and men must be masculine. But women are not allowed to be strictly just in their feminine. Women are not allowed to only ever experience like creativity, flexibility, freedom, all that kind of stuff, like being untethered from responsibilities. Women don't get to do that. Even the women that we say are quote unquote in their feminine, like mothers, they're not actually in any kind of feminine state. They're very much on a schedule. They're very much in their masculine. They have pickups, drop-offs. This has nothing to do with femininity, creativity, freedom, flexibility, anything like that. So this is really just the patriarchy trying to dupe women into thinking that working for the patriarchy and taking L's left and right is quote unquote feminine. What's feminine is actually running off into the woods to reconnect with nature and maybe making like some potions out there. Witchy shit. They're not allowed to do that. The men very much don't like that. So here they go trying to convince y'all that we've lost something by trying to like abolish gender roles. We have not lost anything. Everything is honestly the same for women, right? It's the men that need to connect with their feminine in order to bring more value to society, because right now women are carrying society on our backs and we're oppressed and we're not allowed to be in power and we're not allowed to speak up. And at the same time, we are blamed for all of the problems of society because it somehow is our fault that the men are not in their masculine. And I've had just about enough. So anytime you hear this kind of division of gender roles, just know that somebody is trying to catapult you as a woman back into the 1950s. Whenever they say women need to be feminine, they mean actually nothing of actual femininity. And for the record, you need to be using both energies equally. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're not going to have a fun life if you don't. You're not going to have like a good, balanced life if you don't. If you're stuck in one of these energies, you need help. This is not the way that it should be. You need help. You're like trying to row a boat on one side and wondering why you keep going in a circle. you need help, okay? You don't need to go back to your feminine or masculine. Not to mention that while, yes, being viewed as quote unquote protectors allows men to opt out of adopting other human traits and like allows them to lean on violence as a societal control tactic, this is also the reason why they have a male loneliness epidemic, because they are not fully and complete people. The reason that women are also having just as little romantic success as these male loneliness epidemic men do not also have the same type of loneliness epidemic as these men is because they are connected and are utilizing both parts of their humanity, the masculine and the feminine. They're in touch with their emotions. They're not freaked out by being lonely. You know why? Because when you are in touch with yourself, you are never lonely. You are all you ever have. You came into this world alone. You will leave this world alone. And that's a good thing. You are here to connect with and get to know yourself. And women also are able to experience deep connection with other women because women aren't brainwashed into thinking that that's gay or something like that. That's why we don't have a loneliness epidemic, because we can just rely on each other. When there's no viable men for us to date, we can just have fun together. But men, because they have been so trained on anti-femininity and this idea of quote unquote masculinity, that they believe they can relate to each other only through violence or through things that don't involve a deep emotional connection, like sports or like talking about money or statistics, things that don't involve connecting emotionally. And that's why they're lonely. They're not lonely because women don't want to fuck them. Women don't want to fuck them because men are not doing anything about their own loneliness epidemic. And that's not good survival instinct. As a woman, you're probably trying to procreate with somebody who's not ass dumb. So yeah, you're not gonna fuck these men. There's your loneliness epidemic. That's why it's happening. It's not happening because there's no more like gender roles. And if we really wanted to bring the gender roles back, we would end up going our separate ways. Because when these energies are not coexisting, they are fully in opposition to each other. The feminine will try to run away and the masculine will try to control it with violence. Women want out because we've figured out how to integrate all of it and we're like way ahead already. We're not going back to this bullshit. You can try to cloak it however you want. It's not going to matter. And so coming back to the point that I made in the beginning, a truly progressive society would not lean on violence to keep said society in line or doing whatever it is the society wants to do. We would approach it with a completely different mindset. But instead, we're like, the men are lonely, it's an epidemic, it's dangerous, and so you women better settle. You women better just snap back into these traditional gender roles, even though you have figured out a way to evolve, but the men haven't. And this is what's insulting and backwards. So just remember that, ladies, this is all just brainwash. Gender roles are not really a thing. Just because you can give life, that does not mean it's your social responsibility. And once again, a lot of women have to be pressured into this with violence or with threat of you're not going to have access to money, food, shelter, anything like that otherwise. So it's definitely not natural for us. Just throwing that out there too. It's definitely not the thing that women always want to do or would do regardless, because a lot of women are opting out and men are once again hoping that violence is what will bring us back in line. And this is how gender roles work. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Have a great day.